Okay, folks, good morning. Early Saturday morning, 5:40 a.m. Let's pick up where we left off. Last night we finished up the stands of Hun light horse, sorry. I got bow on my mind because that's what we're going to do this morning. And one of these was already done earlier, so now there are 5. So we're going to do the 2 stands of the fast bow and a Saloy stand, probably. Like I said, we're building all of the Hun versions. May not do the sabers. I don't know yet. But we're going to do the Shungnu and the the Hephthalites and so forth. Actually, the Hephthalites is what we're going to finish first. That's the guys I'm going to run to the convention. Or run them into the ground. One or the other two. I don't have a lot of confidence in light horse to survive many things. Heavy cavalry actually isn't one of them. It's all the other stuff. They do fine against heavy cavalry. They don't do well against bow fire. So, I think I'm going to bring these bows and do some bow fire of my own. I actually don't think I'm going to mix the figures. I think I'm going to paint these 6 guys for the Hephthalites. And I think we're going to assembly line them. I'm going to try to assembly line as much stuff as I can and knock these guys out this weekend. I think that's not too unreasonable. I don't have a crazy weekend. I don't have a crazy painting weekend. I've got other people that we get the full clan back, so we got to keep that in mind. Geez, I really tightened this thing on. Oh, that's the old one. Really? So it all evaporated? I'm going to have to order this sooner rather than later. Oh, well. Put some airbrush thinner in here, which we use as a lubricant of sorts. Hey, this is really expensive. I know what. Let's waste some. All right. Now we got to get these. We're not doing World War II this morning. Really looking forward to playing that colonial game. That might be the determinant of whether or not I'm even going to go into that period. Because I don't want to come up with my own rules for that. Yeah, 15. Well, these are small 15 millimeter figures, individually based. Should be fine. I think the only thing that I would say that would be bad about them would be the pennies when they hit each other. They could scrape each other, regardless of how much sealer I have on there. But that just might be one of those things that I'm going to have to repaint the basing no matter what. That's easy enough fix. I actually looked on Amazon for these round discs, like these round discs that I use for the horses. Not really use them as horses, but to use them as tokens to get back to doing the World War II skirmish. I'm using poker chips, and they make a lot of noise in a bag, a lot of noise, or a box, or anything that, like a chip pull. And it's not unusual to have 50 or 60 chits. Because you're going to have two for each character playing in the game. Each figure is going to have at least two. And it has more if it's an officer. Up to two more. Generally one, up to two more. So you got to swirl all those things around in like a thing. That's going to be a pain to have to listen to that nonsense. And all you need is the person's name on it. You pull a chit, that's who gets to activate and do an action. Action may be to shoot, it may be to reload, it may be to move, it may be to throw a grenade, it might be to do all kinds of stuff. That's how it works. That's the meat and potatoes of those rules. Yes, you don't want to move a whole platoon on one side. That's not what it's geared for. I like these people that are like, I like playing skirmish gaming. Cool. How many figures do you use? Well, I want to use this scenario that does 12 vehicles. That's not skirmish gaming. Or you got to use rules that are very vague and not really what I would have in mind myself if I'm going to do World War II. I've done that stuff. It's unsatisfying. It doesn't scratch my itch. We got here. Two folks, good morning. Hop on down. I made space for you here on my couch. Okay. So we're going to attempt to paint all these guys at once, I'm thinking. I may regret that. You know, like the bows, I'm going to paint all the bows the same. Why not do them? Now, let me first figure out what the hell these guys are wearing. Sometimes that's a challenge. Obviously they're wearing pants. Some kind of boots, but is the shirt end at the belt or is it a onesie? I'm going to assume there's a belt there. And they're all going to have different colored hats. Felt type colors. I don't want to paint the bows first because it's going to be in the way of. It's just going to make it more difficult to get to the shirts and stuff. All right, let's just get it on. Let's see what happens. Normally I would paint. Let me paint one guy to see how he turns out. I'm not worried about that. If I don't like how it turns out, I can redo it. I need to stop doing that as often as I used to, just create more work for myself. All right, I put my glasses on and see what we can see back here. Let's take these Huns and push them off screen so I have some more working room here. We're gonna need this color, medium gray. French Mirage Blue. Okay. I'm not going to be able to do it, am I? All right. Maybe I can mass produce the faces and the accoutrements and stuff. We're going to have to paint the stuff individually, or we're going to be all over the place. All right. Going to be a pair of pants that are going to be this color. Let's see if we can get us. Oh, we got all the yucky brushes here. We got all the brushes that we don't mind mistreating. And we put the other ones away. That one's worthy of a face. This one needs some TLC. What the hell happened here? We had some paint that dried on it. All right. Put that out of the way. That thing's massive. Really unusual that this is. What I would have left on there. No. We're gonna mess with this just a little bit, and then we're just gonna say, you know what? You're now a dry brushing brush. Well, we're gonna mix it up, do the fast bows. Gotta do them anyways. Gotta do at least three more horses, 3 more light horse stands, a cavalry commander, and then we can do Mr. Heffalump. I know everybody wants to see that, including me. Anybody hate elephants? I can't imagine anybody hating elephants. Unless you actually live in a place where there's real elephants and that, you're like, oh, I'm going to clean my road. And then they come by and, leave a shitstorm, literally. And then you'll be like, get that big son of a bitch off my property, I don't think they're great weapons of war. I think they're cute. They're fun to paint. And as a World War II gamer, mainly, it's something unusual, I've spent years not painting elephants. Actually, I never painted a horse until 2004, ever. Didn't do ancients or medieval. And I wasn't going to buy those horse-drawn wagons for my World War II stuff. I didn't have enough World War II stuff to to justify those guys, to spending time on them. I mean, certainly they're useful in World War II stuff, but I've never painted a horse before in my life. All right, the blue. I can already tell that before tomorrow morning I'm going to have to clean up this area. And it's not that bad. I've seen you guys pictures of your work areas. Not maybe everybody that's listening right now, but other painters' work areas. And I would have to check into an insane asylum. And it's not that I'm a neat freak. I would just be constantly distracted by all this shit. Especially now that I paint without glasses, I got to get up and like, what is this? Oh, this is like 20 brushes. Oh, okay. What's that kind of thing? We got plenty of black left. Yep. Okay. Here we go. So if I was skirmish gaming in 15s, I'd base them like this, and then I would leave them on the stand. Give them a little Litco magnet stuck on the bottom, and then when it was time to paint the stand, I could just attach them like that, you know. Looks good on paper. It sounds good on paper anyways. But we'll see. I want to try those rules, see if they've got potential. See if they've got, you know, what I want out of them. I'm not interested in playing a tournament game. But I kind of have an itch to paint some buildings. Because I think I've painted very few buildings. I was trying to find this little barn that I bought many years ago. It's in 15 millimeter, and I painted it. It's kind of too big for 15 mil, and it's kind of small for 20s. But I use it as a small barn for 20s, and it's got two different levels. And on one hand, I want to do World War IIs because get back into World War IIs because it's my love. The other hand is I can't play World War II and not be like super serious with the rules and stuff like that. If I did something colonial, you know, I could do something goofier, so to speak. But colonial, I would most certainly, it would be an imaginations type thing. I mean, you know, you would have rural nations like, you know, British, French, Russians, etc. But the land they would be in would be make believe. You know, it might be, you know, based on somewhere real, but what's that disclaimer you see on movies? The character used in these movies no longer are not meant to represent any known living or past person or something like that. And that would give me the freedom to, maybe I want to use French troops and place French wherever we're in. And basing them individually is the way to go, because then I'm like, I'd like to paint 4 of those guys. I don't have to be like, well, hold on a second, I gotta wait till I get the other ones in, so because I want to mix them in on the stand. There's no mixing them in on a stand. It's individually based. Mix them in with units when they come in. Okay, there's those pants. Let's just go on a pants tear. Let's paint another pair of pants. Where's my dark brown? Here's a dark brown. And depending what kind of a interest we have this morning, depends when I cut off. If it stays really slow, I'm probably going to try to go do what I need to do today earlier rather than later. Remember that pale sand from yesterday? I don't think so. Let's put some of that. Let's lighten this up with pale sand, not white. Wolfman, good morning. Happy weekend. Yes, absolutely. Well, some people have to work on weekends. I'm not one of those people. I actually had a dream last night or this morning, just before I woke up. I had a work-related dream, which is unusual, thankfully. But I had a dream that there was a beer dispenser at work. So I'd poured myself a beer. I remember telling the people, no, I just have one of them a day. Yeah, I would enjoy going to work a lot more. People at work would also enjoy being around me more. Or at least I would think they would be. Right, the brown pants. I'm gonna get one that's a little green. It's not throwing green, just greenish. A greenly color. You work on weekends, but it's a shop, so. Like, I think one thing that'd be really cool would be to work on cars. But, and here's the problem. I want it to be air conditioned. I don't like working in hot environments. I've done enough of that. I want to be able to have a beverage while I'm doing it. So, I'd have to do that on my own time. I don't want to work on other people's cars. I'd want to work on mine. So add all those things together and you don't really have a viable solution. At least you can't do that in this country. Although I'm pretty sure there's mechanics that drink while they're working on cars. But, not legally. I'm not out there to break the laws. If we're going to break the laws, let's break some better ones. Not that. Yeah, I worked at a hobby store many years ago, and I didn't mind working weekends because I didn't mind being there. Of course, the pay was, you can't live on that. Well, I couldn't. But I never complained about working weekends because I was at a hobby shop. But what I was mentioning earlier, I'm looking forward in about a month. In a month, I'm going to try to play these set of rules that I've watched everything. They just came out with them. They're the Blood and Steel. I've watched the videos. I know one of the authors. They look like they have potential. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have no intention of playing the rules as they're written, but that's the wrong impression. I don't want to play. I'm not interested in building forces based on points. There, I should say that, because I don't want to play it as a tournament game. I want to play it as a pig wars type colonial game with forces of different factions with different winning conditions for each one, and it would be in a imagination setting. So the first thing I thought of, I would like to create Absurdistan. So it's loosely based on something it sounds like, but it's not something it sounds like. So you could introduce people that didn't, people other than the locals and the Russians and the British in it. You could introduce other nations like the French and so forth. And you could make up characters. I mean, you could read about the history, but then you could make up characters. Like, I was pouring coffee and I just started brainstorming stuff, and I'm like, it'd be good to have some character named Lord Halliburton, right? Wouldn't that be good? Lord Halliburton goes to Absurdistan. It's some pompous British dude that needs saving or some shit like that. Or maybe he's part of the relief column. Or maybe he's a relief column that ends up getting ambushed. Or all of the above. So I think that that area is ripe for a lot of fun stuff. But the rules have to be quick, but not too basic. I don't think I want to do Sword in the Flame. Sword in the Flame is just, might be too basic. But I'm either going to do that or get into my World War II stuff. But there's a sense of freedom and goofiness that you could probably do with the colonial stuff. And I can't do with the World War II. I mean, you can have fun and make goofy, and you know, talk about goofy things when they happen, but my World War II stuff's got to be serious. That's serious business. And you don't have to worry about vehicles then in a colonial setting. You can add some steampunk things if you want to. You know, some Victorian science fiction. Nothing crazy. You know, add some Jules Verne stuff to it if you wanted to. I think it has a lot of potential. You know, and if it's not too serious, then you could be like, well, let's just use Franco-Prussian Prussians for the Germans, and you know, you can paint them differently if you needed to. You know, you could paint some British units with the red coats and some of them with the khaki. Mix them in. You know, there's just a lot of potential to, you know, paint 6 or 7 guys one way and then paint another 6 or 7 guys the other way, and some locals. And some guy made a post on one of the things. I think it was on the website for the rules, and he posted these figures he was getting ready to paint in 28 millimeter, and he had these little cannons, and I'm like, boy, those don't look like they're the right size. And he said, oh, well, they're mountain guns. I didn't realize mountain guns were like freaking toys. That's interesting. So we'll see. Want to play those rules and see what works, and maybe if that doesn't work for me and I'm still interested in doing that, I can create something that's not too complicated. There's things I like about Sword of the Flame. I like the random movement distance. I like the random order that things can happen in. I just don't like forces that are that big. I don't want each unit to be 20 figures. It's a little too big. I'd rather them be under 10. And you just can command multiple forces, you know. But I wouldn't want a serious game. I would want something that you're basically watching a story develop. So we'll see. It's food for thought. More skirmish, yep. More role playing. Imagine role playing without all the role playing stuff in it. You get a card. Here's your forces. This is what you got to do. You got to go and see what's in that house, because it's an old telegraph station. That might be your whole mission. And yes, you may need to shoot people along the way. They might try to kill you. But some setting that has a lot of natives that can go every which way. They could ambush the Europeans. A lot of pompous, stubborn-headed, you know, jingoistic Europeans of all nations. And obviously outnumbered. It's just got a lot of possibilities. There's an article about the death of the big battles in War Game Illustrated. Yeah, I don't mind the big battles, but I got to supply it all. That's a big ask. You know. Let me give you an example that happened in the last year to us. Mitch has a lot of Napoleonic stuff. He had a lot of Napoleonic stuff back in, about to say Wisconsin. No, Illinois, where he's from. Wisconsin, Illinois. He was by the Wisconsin border, so same thing. A faraway land, land of ice and snow. And he had all his stuff set up for Napoleon's battles, a game I've played before in the past. And he wanted to do Waterloo, he wanted to do Waterloo, he wanted to do Waterloo. So we do Waterloo. And I was bored. Honestly, I was bored with the rules. I'd rather play DBN because I don't want to play a game that takes multiple sessions to finish. And you're kind of bored. I'd rather play DBN and play multiple games of DBN. Now, I'm not a Napoleonics guy. That's not my period. So I'd probably, if I was, I'd want something that was a little bit more detailed than DBN. I think DBN would probably be really hokey if I was into Napoleonics. But these were the ones where it took days to complete. Yeah. I think a lot of the people that you're going to encounter that play those games are not much fun to play games with. Now, I'm jumping to conclusions, but, there's a lot of gamers. I go to, I've looked at games and go, man, I'm glad I didn't sign up for that. Why? I said, I got to play with those people. They're just not having any fun, or they're too serious, or, they're not enjoying it. And now, spend a long time at a game table with a lot of figures, and you're stretching yourself out, and you're uncomfortable and not having a blast is just a step backwards, If you've seen our games, you know what we like. We like having a good time. And some folks are treating it like it's a work day. I think that people have less, I don't know that people have less time than they've ever had. I think there's more distractions to be had that we didn't have when we were growing up. The cell phones, for one, and everything that you can do with them. And a lot of people just get involved in too many things. They just get involved in too many things. So, I don't see a point in getting involved in too many things and completing none of them. Okay, I've got 3 guys done. I don't think I'm going to go crazy and do all 6. I think we're going to just be happy with these 6 guys, finish these guys up. This guy's going to have a light colored shirt settled. Buff? That's a big ask, I think. That's a big ask. Where's that skeleton bone color? I think this is it right here. It's too many distractions. I know people, for instance, that have pets. Okay, let me back up. People that have lots of pets, who should they be? People that live by themselves, right? No, you have these people that have multiple kids, and then they have multiple pets, and they're just like, I couldn't live like that. I like doing one thing at a time. But then again, I'm somebody who loves to read. But if there's a cricket farting outside, I won't be able to read because I'm distracted by any little thing. So I either go somewhere where I don't have any distractions, or I just don't do that activity. Some people just have a lot on their plate. And you'll see them and they'll drive up and down the road and they're putting on their makeup and reading a book and painting their toenails and trying to drive a car. And I'm like, there's been many times where I'm like, I'll turn the rate, I like listening to Audible or whatever. I'll turn it off. Like, okay, there's too much stuff going on. Let's just need to focus on this. But then I'm looking at painting miniatures as a therapy, not more and more, bigger, more and more, big, You need to be happy with what you have, what you're creating along the way. Not, okay, I've painted 1,000 miniatures and I'm not even halfway there and I haven't even played the game and I may actually hate it when I'm done. Mr. Waddy, welcome. Figured I'd take a little sidestep and do some Bowman, which, by the way, if you look for 15 millimeter Hun Bowman on foot, I should say, figures that are mounted on horses don't count as Bowman, you're going to find that the only people that make them, specifically branded as such, is Gladiator Games, and they make one pack and they're all in one pose. So these guys are actually Tushue. I'm guessing that's how they're pronounced. They're spelled Tucheh, I think. Maybe they're Touche. Touche. Basically Turkic archers in the listing for the Tang Chinese. And I had some of these guys laying around. And this is the part of the world that the Hephthalites are from. So I'm using them as them. I did modify the swords because the swords were a bit too Sinbad looking for my taste. Have a great weekend. I've got a football game, soccer for you to watch in a while. Okay, excellent. You too, man. Saw you posted on Lead Adventure. Did you get the pictures in the end? Not yet. He's working on them, but he's responded to me. He's I hope they look great. I hope they look great. I think I got to do some Russians. I think the Russians have to be involved. And if push comes to shove, I could just use who makes Crimean War Russians? Eureka. Man, Eurekas are expensive. They're nice figures. I could just do Eureka guys, I guess. They don't have to be perfect in period. I'm going to do an imaginations type thing anyways. So I got stuff to think about, but I definitely want to paint some other stuff individually based. So I can be like, hey, look, I got this guy done. Hey, look, I got this guy done. Hey, look, I got this guy done. Like, I want to paint a Zouave. I want to paint 3 Zouaves. Okay. All right, now I want to paint a Russian guy, But I want it to be something that's small scale enough where, 3 Zouaves actually do something for you. Not like, okay, well, you need 300 more. Yeah, it took a long time to get approved on a Lead Adventure form. I don't know what was the deal with that. There's a lot of good stuff there. A lot of good stuff. But again, the problem with the forum is, at least for me, is it's very difficult to post pictures on that thing. It's not very user friendly. Just alone, like I wanted to use my own avatar, right? I wanted to use a picture of myself because I don't like to hide who I am. I'm not afraid of who I am, and so it says, upload picture. It doesn't tell you what the restrictions are of size or anything like that. So I went in, and I know that sometimes the pictures are, you can't use a very big picture. You need to make sure one that's in kilobytes, not something that's 10 megs in size. Good morning, Kevin. So I tried entering things in multiple different sizes. No, and then it says this picture is either too large or not an avatar. So, just annoyances, things like that Facebook makes it really easy. Just use whatever the F you want and size it, I'm not a fan of bulletin boards for things like that. I'm also not used to this slow response time over questions. I may ask something and not get an answer for a couple days, and that's normal. If you ask that in a Facebook group, you don't get an answer in 2 days, nobody's interested. Usually Facebook, you get an answer within an hour or even less than that. Did I finish basing? I did. And I'll have pictures of them today. Hopefully. Up. So we've moved on to the fast bow. Good morning, Mr. Dirk. It's funny, somebody posted just the other day I think yesterday, about what the future of DBA. And it's always somebody that posts something like that, somebody that's new. Like, hey, I wonder, can we buy the rights to the game when Phil passes on? And I think it's somebody new. Like somebody who hasn't played the game enough. I am not playing another Ancients rule set that's out there. I'm either going to stick with this or make my own. Which I'm not. That's a lot of work. There's a chap doing a Russian colonial project with him invading Persia, Central Asia, if I remember correctly. He has a podcast called Shot and Shield. Oh, I'll have to check that out. There's one post in there that is just multiple pages, and there's all kinds of illustrations on Russians and stuff, and there's just a wealth of information on that bulletin board. It's pretty cool. I looked at it quite a bit this weekend. Not this weekend, during the week. So, pretty cool. The other problem with bulletin boards is some bulletin boards just turn into everybody shouting from a mountaintop and nobody listening. That's one reason I stopped putting pictures on my WordPress site. It was originally a blogger that I started, and then I switched over to WordPress because Blogger is extremely unfriendly about a lot of things. Like where you can post wording, and it's just too like, why am I having this much trouble with? You have everything lined up and it goes send and deleted everything and have to redo it, and I don't like to type to begin with, and then to delete everything I did, so I have to be tortured retyping it again. It's just like shit like that just makes me want to quit the hobby, I got this attitude that wargaming is all is all rainbows and unicorns. So it starts becoming a pain in the ass. I'm not doing it. So yeah, I switched from Blogger, and Hey, you put your stuff on there and you don't know who's seen it, how many people have watched it. Some people don't like, it's just, you get a lot more satisfaction putting things on Facebook. And there's a lot of folks that don't want to use Facebook, but I bet you know what? There's a lot of people that don't want to use bulletin boards. And I don't want to use email. I absolutely hate personal email. I hate personal email that's going to multiple people. You ask a question, you say, maybe you've got 10 people on your group that's like experts on, I don't know, we'll say Asian flags, right? You want to ask some stuff. And so you put a question out there to all these experts. And then a little while goes by and one guy responds with, well, I don't know anything about all these other ones, but I do know about this, and gives you some ideas. And then somebody else responds a little while later, and they, maybe 30 minutes or an hour later, and they don't look at the response that the one person gave and build upon that. They start from scratch and give you a different answer on the same question, even though you had 10. It's just like nobody's listening to each other. It's like, and then it's hard to tell who said what, and other people are quoting different. I hate personal email, and stuff like that happens at work too. But at least I'm getting paid there, and I got to put up with it. But this format is the best, what we're doing right now. Everybody can access YouTube. You guys don't want to sign into YouTube and still watch the video, that's fine. What we got here? Do your own thing if stuff goes to hell. There you go. Yeah, I just want to get some mechanics ideas and what works. The main thing is you want something that moves fast, but you don't want something that, I'm going to call it the command decision factor. I played command decision for many years, and the thing that turned me off of it was that generally there was only one obvious thing to do. You didn't have lots of different ways to skin a cat. And the game can be simple, but there's got to be lots of different ways to skin a cat. Not like, well, I'm obviously not going to move the fastest I can because I don't get shot at and I won't get to shoot. And then, well, I'm not going to move half speed because I want to get the jump at them before they do it on me. So you end up just basically everybody just sitting there and shooting in place, which I guess was probably realistic. But all right, I need to get a beverage, and I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm not learning something like art de la guerre or some shit like that. I just assume just come up with my own crap that makes sense. I play another Ancients rule. It's going to be really easy for people to pick it up and play. And flowchart. Hell, even make a flowchart. Make a little box. What you can do. Did you roll successfully through this? Yes, no, go to the other one. Just easier for people to understand and play the rules correctly. Not to sell. I'm not gonna make any money off that. I'm not interested in that crap. Not like, No, we stole these rules from somebody, so we can't mention their name. You gotta give people credit where credit's due. I think that a lot of the shortcomings of rules are twofold. People have an agenda. You have a set of rules where you want, I'm British, and I want to make my British awesome, where they're unstoppable in the game, or whatever. Fill that in for something else. Or they don't play test them enough. Which is like, oh, we got to rush them out so I can make money. I never plan on making any money off of them. That's not my MO. I'm not in it for the money. I'm not one of those guys that collects baseball cards because they don't even like baseball. They just want to resell them. I'm not one of those folks. Do your own thing if stuff goes to hell. Yep. Yeah, I'm tired of looking things up. Spending a long time, not finding it. We all come to a conclusion of what it should be. It makes sense. It works for us. Then later on, we find out we were wrong. And we're experienced gamers that are, above average intelligence. We may not be the smartest people in the room, but we're not stupid. And I'd like to think I don't have an agenda. So open-minded. Like, well, I'm not going to rule it that way because then I won't win the battle. That's for people that want to have trouble sleeping at night. I've got no problem with stuff like that. I just want to paint stuff. I want to paint stuff, and I want to make little noises when they fight on the battlefield, and I want to laugh about them and make fun of inappropriate things when inappropriate things happen, and have a good time, and camaraderie, and be excited about history, and be excited about searching for figures. That's it. That's not a big ask. The tournament thing is nice because they're short games. So if you do encounter somebody you don't like or you don't hit it off with, you don't have to put up with them for a long time. Now, I'm going to tell you this, that hasn't happened that many times. I think I did a count one time and I played 200 different people. And I would say maybe 6 or 7 people of those 200 I don't want to play again. Maybe that many. One of those people I understand doesn't play war games anymore. He's out. Another guy kicked the bucket. He's out. Who else? I'm saying 6 or 7. It may actually only be 4. They just have a bad attitude. They act like the world's out to get them. I don't have time for that. And there's a couple different things that have kind of changed my attitude. For the better. And one of them is making videos. And I want to, when you have things, if something's really cool that somebody can do, I want to tell them about it so that they'll do it. So it's really cool. So I don't give a shit about winning so much. I want cool things to happen. And I think that's more user-friendly instead of why do I want to be playing against somebody who's really experienced because I don't have a chance of winning? Well, that's the whole thing. I want to help you out so that I have a 50-50 chance of winning. I don't want to win 90% of the time. What's the point? What's the thrill in it for me? So I can feel myself switching over to less competitive gaming, which is not really accurate, but more, less tournament gaming, more like scenario driven and stuff. How many more tournaments do I need to play? You think you've caught your dice making plots against me? Show them who's boss. Keep using them. You're not the boss of me. They're union dice. They want to take the rest of the day off. Screw them. To work. So the World War II stuff, if I go on that route, I just run one side. And that way I can help people out if they got questions. Instead of trying to be one of the sides that are win. Like, I already know how to play the game, That's kind of my attitude change, I should say. And I think the videos have kind of changed it. Because I don't want to play. I'm not that interested in playing games and not being on video because so many cool things happen that it's a shame not to share it with you guys. Yeah, you said that yesterday, that he couldn't find out what was wrong with you. That's always, that's not a good sign. I don't know. I got a guy that used to work for me. And he had, I'm trying to think what it's called. Kidney stones issues, real bad. For many years. And it wouldn't cause him to miss much work, but you could tell he was in pain. So one day he went on a tear. Maybe the tear is the wrong word. It sounds like he was on something. Well, where he couldn't work because he said he couldn't sleep and he couldn't stay awake and he was in pain all the time. So he's gone to several specialists and they can't find out what's wrong with him. I think it's some kind of pancreatic cancer or something like that, but he's gone to all kinds of specialists. Supposedly they can't figure out what you have, what he has. If you got something and they can't figure out what you have between Shands and the Mayo Clinic, you got something serious. It's bad news. That shit's gonna kill you. Greg from Little Wars was interviewed on the Hobby Support Group podcast last week, and he was talking about the philosophy of making videos. Interesting stuff I might enjoy listening to. Good, I'll have to check it out because he is my favorite Little Wars guy. He is my favorite Little Wars. I don't know how he is in person, but on video I like him. What is that place? Let me write that down. Homework assignment time. Hobby Support Group Podcast. I don't know if you were on here last night. I had suspicion maybe pancreas. Man, I hope it is. I hope you're okay, man. Well, you're going to the doctor. That helps. When you got to monitor stuff, Yeah, I'm not a fan of their Little Wars, of their Pyrrhic thing. I thought it was going to be A and it's actually B. But hey, it's their video. They can do whatever they want with it. It's a little too... It was anticlimactic. Hobby Support Group Podcast. Where can you get that? On Podbean or... Where do you have access to that podcast? 'Cause I'll listen to that today. I got some watching time, listening time coming up today. I'm going to have to do lawn activities. Yippee. It's either that or you got to overpay somebody to do them, so F it, I'll do it myself. Podbean and whatnot. Okay, I'll check it out. Thanks for the recommendation. Yeah, he's my favorite Little Wars guy. I don't know how he is in person. I don't know how he is face across on the game table, but just his presentation, I like him. Seems like a nice guy. I don't know. I mean, the thing is that they're starting to get into the famous people realm where, they may be one way on video and a different way in person. I'd like to think I'm the same asshole on both places. You see what you get. Their stuff is just, a lot of their stuff sometimes is very heavily edited, and that just takes a lot of work. That's just a lot of work. Like, I don't care editing stuff and showing my mistakes, I mean, I'm not perfect. I wish I was. But editing takes a lot of freaking time. It's not that it takes so much time, it's that when you go and crunch the video, the video is not happy. The best thing you could do to get a video out is just present it as it is. Don't even put anything on it, and it's so much easier to process. You start adding music and fancy screens that turn around and twist and add this, and the video takes a long time to process, a long time to upload. And if it doesn't make a big difference to your viewers, then why are you doing it? One of the things I started finding out that there was actually a plethora of is free music that you can use in your videos online. But you could spend like days looking for the perfect free music to go with your video that is just for your intro. And I'm like, I can't spend that much time on a video. I won't get anything painted. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know how they do one thing, and I guess I probably should have asked them, but I don't really need to spend more time on music. But I recognized a lot of the music that was in their Pyrrhic War stuff. It's the soundtrack from Rome Total War, which is a stellarly superb soundtrack. It's so good that the first tournament I ever ran, which was a Rise of Rome, I had brought a little boombox. That tells you how long ago that was, with the CD that came with the game, and I played that in the background the whole time we were playing the game. Back when that game was new, so this would have been like 2006, something like that. And they used some of that music in their video, and I don't know how they got around that, because that's copyrighted stuff. And I know they monetize their channel. I'm pretty sure they do. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just run it through something else. But if you get a copyright strike, then you got a problem, because now you got to either take all of the sound off during that segment where it's playing, or redo the whole thing. I don't want to do either. That actually happened to me one time. I was doing one of these paint sessions, and the wife and daughter were in the other room. They were watching a series show, and I couldn't hear it, but the YouTube picked up the soundtrack of the recurring show, and I got a copyright strike against it. So my only options were to take the video down, or cut off the sound for that one section. So it has very subtle ears, the YouTube algorithm or whatever does. Oh, we're getting dry. We better handle that right now before we have a bigger problem. Be right back. Let's fill this thing full of water. The editing is fun and it's easy to do. And you already know how to do it. If you've watched any kind of programming, you know how to do it. The problem is the what's the term for it? I call it crunching. It's called exporting, which is actually doesn't export it out. It does it within your machine. So it basically compresses the file in a format that can be. That part sucks ass. It takes forever. Right back. So I do enjoy doing the editing part, and it's easy to do on my editor. That's why I use that editor. But I have been punished before by the exporting too many times. So that part's got to be easy. First I did it on my phone, and my phone couldn't keep up. Now I got a better phone that can keep up. Burn It to the Ground by Nickelback. Well, you can't do something famous like that or you get into problems. And I'm not sure what it is. I thought everybody hated Nickelback. That's what the word on the street is. I don't know. I'll give Nickelback one thing. I have a horrible time understanding lyrics, and I have no problem understanding their lyrics. Not that I care about music with lyrics, but I'm just saying. Whatever the vocal range that dude has, I can pick it up. All right. I'll have to check out that podcast. See what their reasoning supposedly is for doing videos. I think they're a lot of fun to do. Especially the walk around ones that we did at Historicon. We're going to be doing more of that shit. I think Mitch really enjoyed it. He's not as vocal as I am. I'm not afraid of telling people exactly what I think about stuff. That was a lot of fun. We're going to be doing that on our shows here in Florida. Walking around, looking at tables. Yeah, that was the only real complaint that I had about Historicon was that basically nobody showed up to play DBA, which is okay. But I also felt like we were tied to that area and not explored more. And I would have liked to explore more. I would have liked to go to certain vendors, maybe not all of them, but ones that had stuff that I like. And, I'm not going to say interview them, but if you watch my walk around video, kind of what we did with El Guapo, with his Little Wars, like ask him about the game, what he thought about it. Nothing super formal, nothing to try to, but just kind of like, this is really cool. Tell me about it, and more of that. Stuff that I legitimately want to know about. Not like, well, let me do this for the audience. Nah, I'm doing it for me. And you guys get to experience it along the way. So, wish we had done more of that. And I didn't edit those videos at all. That's just right out of basically how it turned out. And that was out without a gimbal. So I got to get my gimbal running again, so you get a little bit smoother video. It's not too bad considering that's just once I figured out, hey, don't hold the phone like that because you keep putting your stupid finger in the way. But hey, you get what you pay for. It's a free video. Everyone's so quiet. The loud people aren't up this early. Mr. Pugwash, welcome. Thought the walk around vid was pretty good. Was surprised how big the place looked. Yeah. I wish there was more things I went to that had a vendor hall like that. I just think it's cool looking at stuff in our hobby. This other guy did a video that I came across sometime where he was kind of upset at the guy that was selling the videos and stuff like that and the t-shirts that he had, but I don't think that stuff means anything. I said in my video, I said the people in my town they'd freak out and hide in the corner. I don't have a problem with somebody selling shirts with German logos and stuff on them. I'm not going to wear them, and I've explained why I wouldn't wear them. I think they send the wrong message. They don't offend me, but because I've been a war gamer my whole life. But people that are involved in it, I don't want to be associated with what they might think that that I'm really up to, which is not what it is. I don't wear stuff like that, but I don't have a problem with people selling it. Being asked, what length is your grass for basing, not outside? Shit, let's take a look. Let's take a look at these things. I want to say nothing's taller than 5 mil. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Let's see if they say it on here. Let's just take these for instance. Okay, this mixed green gamer's grass claims to be 6 mil. And see if I can identify where it is on the stand here. That's this one right here at the front of the horse. That's 6 mil. This other gamer's grass. Their packaging is cool, but it's a pain to put it back. It says wild. Doesn't give a height on here on the front. This one doesn't say, but it's about the same height. I think 6 mil is probably like the extreme length on any of them. I don't think that that's the average. Because the thing you gotta remember is these stands are 3 mil thick. And the tufts aren't that much taller than 3 mil. I know the Australian one's not gonna say Leadbear tufts, but his are about the same. And then what was the other one I have here? I think the huge miniatures ones don't say either. They're all about the same height. Does it say what they are? No, I guess technically they're 6 mil. I would have called them a lot shorter than that. The funny thing is this scale, like if I was doing 20s, I wouldn't make them any taller. I think this length is just fine. I'm pretty happy with them. Local model shop. What's it like to have one of those? I think on the way back from what I'm doing, I'm going to go by the model shop and not the hobby store and see they've got games. I don't like Games Workshop paints because I can't stack their paints really well. The ones that have come out now, I'm fine. I like their mix. I like their bottles. I just can't. I can't put them on their end like I do. So they're a stacking issue. But they do have. I think they have Army Painter. Even though I don't really like spending my money there. They're a little. They're a bit anti-capitalist. There, I just put it that way. And you have to understand, when I say that, I mean, yes, I'm a capitalist, but some things shouldn't be able to be sold. You know, like your integrity. So, everything's conditional. You know, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. You're supposed to be raised right, damn it. Then you can be a capitalist, and then you'll know what you can and what you should and shouldn't do. What is it that I call myself? Not to be political, but conservative libertarian. Yeah, I definitely think I don't want the government telling me anything to do, but there's just some things you should just know better. There's just some things you don't do. You don't need to make laws for that. You should know better. Hobby Lobby only models. Yeah, Hobby Lobby has no more paint. Do you have an idea when and do I have an idea for a when and where for your Huns? I don't know what you mean by that. Like when they'll be ready? They'll probably be ready just before the show in a month. What are their when and where? Minifigs faces really are, I like them. They paint up really well. They're just enough detail and they're just minimalist enough that they just work for me. Where and when and where the Army existed. Well, these guys that I'm doing right now, these Hephthalites, these guys came in, and I really didn't know anything about them. These white Huns, they attacked Persia. They're over there by the Caspian Sea, over there between the Caspian Sea and India, which is where they got their elephants from, presumably. But very little is known about Huns, from what I understand, and none of it written by them. But that's always a problem. Media bias. You know, you need to see both sides, even though, yeah, you can understand maybe one side's more filled with propaganda than the other, but at least get it from two different sides. And the truth is always somewhere in the middle. But they attacked the Persians, and and when I mean Persians, I mean the Sassanids. Okay, that's a little bit more specific, and they were a thorn in the side for the Sassanids for about 150 years. 100 of which they were the Sassanids were their bitches. The Sassanid Persians were a tribute state of the White Huns. I didn't know that, and nobody knows about the White Huns or anything, you know. So you find history along the way, but that's where these Hephthalites are from. Of course, Attila. Everybody knows a little bit about Attila. And there's still stuff on the jury's still out of whether or not the Huns and the Sungnu were related. They're going to be related enough in my book that their light horse would be the same for both of them. So nice to have a local model shop, but it's all trade and military stuff in bigger scales. A tad pricey, but I'll help a local shop. We also have 2 gaming shops, but they're all board games and Games Workshop. Yeah, I'd go to the place you're going to go to as well. Town's also tiny, 20,000 population, so we have it pretty good. Yeah, you do have it pretty good. But you're over there in the UK, the land of toys. We have about 150,000 people. It doesn't feel that. That sounds like a lot of people. I don't feel like I'm in a town that's that big. And we have a Hobby Lobby, which is a chain store that doesn't have that much variety. One comic book store and one game shop. And those two have nothing historical. Well, the Hobby Lobby doesn't have anything historical either. Like miniatures. There's no historical miniatures in town, or no one that wants to. If you put on a game at one of those places, nobody will show up to play. So, are they the ones that attacked Kiev? See, I got to get that out of my mind. I read that and I wanted to say Kiev, and I'm not supposed to say that. It just sounds weird. We've always called it Kiev for hundreds of years. I gave in when it came to Peking, but I'm not calling it. I'm calling it Kiev. Just weird. Just like, what's that mountain? I'm not going to call it Denali anymore. It's Mount McKinley, damn it. 3 mil here. Yeah, Phoenix. How many of them speak English, Kevin? Hey, I have no problem with people speaking another language. I speak another language when I talk to my mom, but sometimes you speak that other language to them and they don't understand that either. That's where that big university is, right? University of Phoenix. I think that one's in the cloud. Yeah, I don't have a problem with people speaking another language in another country. I have a problem with people living in a country and hating the country that they're living in. Like, then why'd you come here? You know? My dad came from another country. He never forgot the country that he came from, and he was very proud of it, but he assimilated. He's like, this is like the best place on earth. You know? It's got its problems, but so does everywhere. 'Cause I've encountered a couple people that legitimately say they hate the United States. I don't want to interact with them. Like, what are you doing here? Go away. I had one guy that was working for me that said that. I walked from, I didn't check his load, went inside, called his boss, banned that company from coming in. You don't come in and say, F the United States. Okay, well then you don't have any work here, ASU is the big one. Yeah, I was kidding about University of Phoenix. It's all online. It's all in the cloud, as far as I understand. Just like the UK. If you live in the UK, I hate the United Kingdom. What are you doing there? Go back to where you came from. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't hate the UK. Maybe there's things I wouldn't like about it, but I guarantee the thing I would dislike the most about the United Kingdom, without a doubt, without ever visiting there, I can tell you right off the bat, the thing I would hate the most about the United Kingdom is how you guys are driving on the wrong side of the road. I guarantee that is the thing that I would dislike the most. Even the bloody French can figure it out. I'm never going to let that one stop. It just freaking floors me. Everything else I'm cool with. Even the warm beer. Just won't have any. But driving on that other side of the road, that just blows my mind. That was some wealthy oligarch or something like that. So I'd do. I'd go to England, which I've never been to. I've never been to Europe. Just hasn't panned out. Go to England and then just do a video where all I'm doing is just talking in some preposterous accent the whole time. I guess that would be like Borat or something like that. I haven't watched that. That guy's a clown, and a bad clown. By Jove, there's a hobby shop across the street. We must go in there. No, I think I would like it. I think I really would. The Mecca of wargaming. I would have trouble with the accent. Yeah, there's so many that they invented the language. You would think that they all would speak it a little better. You just got to slow down and say all the words. It's not the accent; it's the omission of words and all the colloquialisms. It's funny when someone comes to first world country from Afghanistan or California and then complain. California. Yeah, and air conditioning. I'm spoiled about air conditioning. I just, it's just freaking hot here all the time. You have to have air conditioning. If you're inside, want to go. I know what gloomy weather. The temperature's fine. I'd love to live somewhere that was colder than here. I wanted to go to England. When I was stationed in Germany, it cost too high. You drove left-hand side car for a while. It did take a little getting used to. I'm a big fan of shifting gears. I can't imagine shifting on the left-hand side. I guess you know what? It's sink or swim. You either figure it out or you have an accident and die. I guess I'd probably figure it out, I'm sure there's things I would like about it. Can't go to Europe without going to Spain first, though. Got to go see my people first. Not your people, my people. Then we can go to England. Go to the museums and tell them what's all that. That's the wrong armor for that period. What's that American over there? He's saying all our things are wrong. Bloody Boston. You know? I don't have a super high opinion of things that you know about in a museum. Because, we're not the most intelligent people on the planet. I mean war gamers. I don't mean Americans. Americans are not the most intelligent people. It's not country specific. I used to think that, Americans are stupid and don't know about geography. Oh no, I've seen those shows where they walk around your cities in the UK, and you got some dumbasses there too. Okay. Don't know which direction Scotland's in and stuff like that. People are morons the world throughout. But, but we have a specific set of skills, right? Like, I don't want to, I wouldn't catch things that were wrong in, English Civil War uniforms. But if it was something about a period that I really knew, You met many British soldiers when I was over there. Freaky. In Germany? The land of beer. That's what I call it. Who knows if that's really true, but let the record show when the land of beer and the land of toys go in to fight each other, the land of toys wins. 2-0. That's one of the things that I hate about Facebook. One of the best memes I've ever seen. And I don't see how you would find this meme offensive. It's this black and white picture. It's got Churchill doing his little V for victory thing, and it's got Hitler doing his palm thing that he likes to do. And on the bottom it just says, scissors beats paper. And it's a great meme. I didn't come up with it. A freaking genius came up with it. I posted that on Facebook on my page 6 years ago or something like that when I first saw it. No problem. 2 years ago, I get a strike against me. Oh, it's against the community rule. I may have even gotten it off of somebody off of Facebook. Whatever. Not promoting that mustached mother on there. If you like that guy, there's something wrong with you. I mean, he wasn't even a sharp dresser. You can't even like that. You can't even like that short dude because he doesn't even know how to dress. Amongst all the other bad things that he did. You figured, okay, well, you can't put dictators on there. Okay, nope. No problem. I get it. It doesn't make sense to put dictators on there and promote their ideology. You can do any Stalin meme you want and GIFs and, GIFs and all that kind of stuff. I still haven't figured out whether it's a GIF or a GIF. I call it one thing one time and call it something else a different time. So fine, I won't put any dictators. Whether they're sending somebody to the gulag or they're throwing people out of helicopters. We won't put either side of the dictators, which is really the same side. Two flavors of the same ice cream cone. Another mustachioed fellow. Of course, he's got more of a Chu Man Fu going on. All right, this guy needs like a light brown genie with a light brown hat. That's what he looked like with that sword. He definitely was Arabian Nights looking. 6 folks. Welcome, welcome. Some of these paint pots are behaving weird. They're not liking to stay in place. My paint system works really well until one of them goes sideways, and it's all the way in the back in the middle of a pile, and then I've got to rearrange like 3 of them. It doesn't happen that often, but paint pots, God, I'm morphing into somebody from the UK. You hear things enough times that... What's the word that I said I've been using a lot lately and I actually like? Dodgy. I like that. I like that word. As an adjective. A dodgy fellow. What time is it over there? 7:24 a.m. 7:24 a.m. Late. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. And then I gotta get breakfast and I'm not gonna wake up and not get breakfast and coffee. Caffeine. If that English tea was stronger, I'd just drink that instead of coffee. That tastes a hell of a lot better than coffee. 4:23. Yeah, you're like insomnia, man. But you may be feeling uncomfortable. That's happened to me in the last couple of months. Like, I've been uncomfortable. I just stay up. You know, I would much rather go to sleep early, but wake up early. Definitely not somebody that likes to sleep in, regardless of whether or not somebody else, there's other people in the house. Like, if I'm going to be left alone all weekend, like if my other people in the house are traveling, I still want to wake up early. And it's been that way for probably ever since I've lived in this house, so about 20 years. I used to even wake up at 4. That was a bit much. Yeah, it's 4:23 in the morning. He's over in Arizona, Stan. Mountain time zone. All the UK is under one time zone, right? And then maybe like Germany's like an hour earlier. I don't know where the break point is for Europe. I was mixing and then it got too wet. I had to backtrack a little bit. Yep. Yeah, you get up early. You wake up and you do whatever you want to do first. That way you don't have to fit that in later. Oh, this guy looks cute. It's all fun and games till he's burning down your house. Barbarian little bastard. I have no illusions. These guys are the bad guys. Meanwhile, in New Zealand, it's unusual actually when you get on and we're in the same day. Because sometimes you're over a day. You're looking into the future. You're enjoying your Sunday when we're still on our Saturday snack. All right, I gotta make a decision. The decision I gotta make is: do I stop now and go take care of what I need to, or go later? Be right back. Let me make sure someone's not awake. Sorry, I'm hungry as hell, so piece of cold pizza it is. Had some left over. Second breakfast. Turning out nicely. Boots. Okay. Boot time. Give him the boot. Yeah, I like these minifigs. So no, I'll go do what I need to do later. And what I do need to do is I gotta take the car to the dealership. Something's wrong with the tire. It's not holding air. And I took it to a tire place a couple weeks ago. And oh, there's nothing wrong with your tires, but they are kind of worn. And I'm like, they only have 15,000 miles on them. That's like 20,000 kilometers for you folks. I can't see the wear bars on them. The guy's blind. I won't take anything to that place again. You can't figure out where the wear bars are. There's plenty of tread on. I think it handles like a beast. But one of them was down to 23 pounds. It's got a slow leak, or maybe there's something wrong with them. The tip, something leaking slowly. So, but it's over on the other side of town. It's over there on the other. All our car dealerships here are all over, right next to each other. They're over in the crime part of town, so to speak. And we got to do something else over there that involves the wife picking up another vehicle for friends of ours. So I don't want to drive across town twice, and she's not up yet, so we'll leave that for later. If you really needed to know. I don't live a mysterious life. It's not that exciting. All my excitement happens on the tabletop. I'm going to use the same red for the sleeve on this sword. Sheath. But then we're going to bring it up. Bring it up to spec. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's got to be something like that. Oh, it happens. It's just annoying to have a leased vehicle and stuff like that happens. So that's why you lease a vehicle, so you don't have any problems. But, oh, there's not much tread on it. I looked at them like, they're freaking brand, they're like brand new. I mean, yeah, it's tires that don't have a lot of tread to begin with. They don't look like they're low profile tires. They look like they don't have a lot of tread on them, but that thing handles like a beast. You can take a 90-degree turn at 40 miles an hour. All-wheel drive, baby. I don't make a habit of driving that way, but I did. I did when there was like, oh, there's nobody on this corner. Let's see what this thing will do. I could have pushed it more. I'm like, no, that's fun. I'm liking that all-wheel drive. Although it's definitely sluggish at times. Sluggish is the wrong term. It's there's some hang. The car almost needs just first gear and second. Just leave it in second. That thing's got insane amount of power for. Oh well. But it's really difficult to find vehicles that are affordable. I mean, even before the pandemic, and that have manual transmission is really difficult. You guys have it made in other places. I mean, if you're into that. Of course, you don't have it made when it comes to fuel prices, but I don't want to drive another automatic. They're no fun. I'll be like, all right, I'm going to Mitch's house. Cool, I get to play a video game on the way over there. I like driving. Do any of you people that live in Britain have a British vehicle? Or is that just a thing of the past? How did that happen? Just nobody cared? It's just kind of sad. I mean, what, after the Spitfire, like, oh, that'll do. Quite like an auto when sitting in traffic. I've never complained about it. My first vehicle I ever bought was a stick shift, and I didn't know how to drive it. We didn't have one at home. My parents didn't have one, so how the hell would I learn how to drive one? So the guy that sold me the car actually showed me how to stick shift, how to drive, and it was like sink or swim. Like, you know when to shift. It's just it's this, you know. The rest is a no-brainer. It wasn't like I didn't know how to drive already. And had that for 11 years or something like that. And then got married, and she can't drive. I tried to teach her a couple times, but she doesn't have an interest in it. She thinks it's stupid. And I tried teaching it once, and I'd like to live, so I decided that probably wasn't the best thing to do. So I didn't have one. That would have been 2008. So I didn't get one again until last year. So what's that been, 13 years of driving a damn automatic, boring-ass freaking vehicle? I come back, and now they have a thing. They have hill assist. Supposedly keeps the car from rolling back. You know what keeps the car from rolling back? Learning how to drive a freaking stick shift. I disabled that thing. It takes some of your power away. Yeah, you own a Rover. Does have a small block Chevy though, so only half British. Why? How did that happen? You guys built like freaking planes and freaking ships and shit like that. What happened to Rule Britannia? What the hell happened there? That's sad, really. I think it's sad. Maybe you have QC problems, quality control problems. I don't have an American vehicle. No, 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 no. I'm okay if they're assembled here, but you grew up driving British cars. The EEC was the downfall of British auto industry. What's EEC? Can't beat the old American V8s. I've never driven an American vehicle. You know, own one. Yes, I've driven them. Steering's too sloppy for my taste. Good morning, Mr. Heller. Only good thing about those old cars is you could work on one. There's enough space, you know, but... I don't know what's going on with this, but that's a wet spot too far over there. All right, let's go somewhere else. Let's go here. Let's just add a tiny little bit of white. That white that's too watery, that's... All right, and then we need a little case for these little arrows to go into. A little box. Beige brown. EEC. Electric Environmental Cooperative. Joining the morning fun while my 2-year-old eats her breakfast. Yummy, yummy. Excellent. Always happy to have you. European Economic Community, forerunner of the EU. So nobody was buying British vehicles outside of Britain, huh? What was an affordable British vehicle? Because the only vehicles I can think of are, outside my price range, or stuff I'm willing to pay for a vehicle. Not paying $80,000 for a car, sorry. Bad investment. That's not a Mini. MG. There were a couple people that had MGs running around here in the 80s. They weren't real common, but they were. I don't think they had steering on the... They had normal American steering. They had normal everybody else steering. Yeah. Austin Morris. They used to make trucks in the big one, didn't they? Morris Trucks. British vehicles for normal people. What's that Rover vehicle that looks really good? The Defender. I think it's called the Defender. That's a sexy beast. Or at least some of them are, but I don't have a need for something like that. That doesn't handle corners good enough for me. You check on one thing. Looks like we'll be able to get this guy done. Austin Morris. I'm going to have to look that up. See what they look like. Sounds like something would be like an AMC or something like that. An AMC Hornet or something. All right. I'm going to do white on the fletching there. Of course. I know there's other colors, but it always looks, I think, the best in white for the fletching. I'm going to use something. These are getting way too watery. Hold on one second. All right. Been a rough morning. Daughter has tummy ache, only ate a few bites, and she had a bloody nose when she woke up. Uh-oh. Yeah, my daughter used to be an early riser. Used to be like Had to get up at 4 because she'd be up at 6. Which is actually really handy if you're going to be traveling or something like that. You don't have to, like, get them out of bed. But then she kind of grew out of it. Now she gets up at a more reasonable time. 8:30 to 9, something like that. We need to go to one size smaller for this. Never had a problem with her coming in here and messing with any of my stuff. Never had to lock this room. I also didn't hide anything from her. So there was no curiosity. So when are you going to the next dinner party there with your new friend there, Dirk? Go out with another couple, find out the guy's into history or something like that, and they hit it off real well. Daughter gets up 6:30 most days and is curious about everything. Okay, we're going to count. Oh, nope, can't do that yet. Two years old. Yeah. I remember those days. Has she, could be a while. Has she picked her gender yet? Since that's the thing now, I'm kidding, of course. It's not a thing. It's just, they always bring all the problems to the forefront, don't they? I don't look through the news. Like, what kind of stuff do they want us to worry about today? You know what I'm worried about? When's the weekend? When's the weekend? Well, your wife did a great job of picking that friend. She just asked to watch robots, which means she wants to watch BattleBots. I haven't seen that. That's the one where people make like robots and they bash each other, right? Yeah, my daughter's still my movie buddy. She'll pretty much watch anything. She'll watch all action stuff, all the stuff my wife won't watch. That's not that color, is it? I guess it is. Doesn't look like it. Robot fights. Okay. Cool. You're teaching your children violence. So? Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets hurt. Be careful, she'll think that's what toys are for. She'll come in here and bash your things. Oh, no. My daughter went through a period there that she's 17 now, but she went through a period where she'd watch a whole lot of television. And she's out of that now. It's like, I don't think much on TV is worth watching. But it's like one thing after another, after another, after another. You know, when she had free time or in the summers or what have you. Luckily, she got out of that, but what was that movie with boxing robots? Don't know. You know, talking about where they build the robot to fight the kaiju, right? Pacific Rim. Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Never played it. I know I wasn't cool enough to get one of those. It was a big thing when I was a kid. Didn't get one. You don't even have a TV anymore. Not missing anything. Unless you're using it to watch programming, quality programming like this. Maybe that's why TVs are so cheap, nobody's buying them. We've had other people come visit us, and that's all they want to do is watch TV after TV after TV after TV. I think it's too mindless. I like to think about stuff. So I like the game. At least you're making decisions. And there's so many things that especially if you got a Tony TVs on the iPad, especially if you have a young child. I don't know if this is your first kid. You're gonna notice that there's so much programming on there that is just like you don't want them seeing it until they've figured out who they are and they're they can deal with the whatever it is that's on there. Especially when you start getting around like 9 or 10. You know, when they're little, stuff would just go over their heads or whatever, but you put inappropriate things in places that they just shouldn't have it. So it was a certain age where I wanted to watch stuff with my daughter, but it was like, man, it was just, this is PG-13 and you're 13, but why the hell are they doing this? Yeah, we got a riot at Disney streaming service because of the social messages. And you got rid of Disney streaming service because of the social messages and all their stuff. Real Steel, Hugh Jackman. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Disney. Old man Disney he'd slap the living shit out of these people that are running it now. Yeah, but they put sex and stuff where things don't need to be. You know, it doesn't need about freaking sex when it's about 8-year-olds, man. They don't give a shit about that. Or they shouldn't give a shit about that. You know, they put a whole lot more worry about bad words than the context of the conversations. We were watching one movie the other day, this last week, that was rated R. It was an old movie rated R. And my daughter's 17. And it was a comedy movie. And what made it rated R is a couple of F-bombs that were, that are thrown out like if you stub your toe, right? You didn't call somebody this, that, or the other. And there was a shower scene that people were just showering. They weren't doing anything in the shower. And they just showed butts, which we all have. Some people even have a second set on top of their shoulders. But anyhow, that's it. That was rated R. The next movie we watched had all kinds of inappropriate stuff, and it was PG-13, and it was worse. It was more inappropriate than a rated R movie. So, Real Steel. Never heard of it. I like Hugh Jackman, but Hugh Jackman actually seems like he would be a decent human being. I could be wrong though. It is Holly weird. So the rating doesn't mean anything. There's a website that we used to go to all the time called Common Sense Media, and it would rate all the movies based on violence, sex, language, and my favorite one, commercialism. They show somebody drinking a Coke in the movie, and all of a sudden it promotes Coke. And there might be another couple of different things, but it kind of rates them in numbers of stars. So we kind of use that as our guide of whether or not, is she old enough to watch? You think she can handle watching so and so? But that sex category is in all kinds of places it shouldn't be. Programming is geared towards kids that are under, 11 and under shouldn't have any of it in it. Smoking's another one. Which kind of a rare event. I mean, I think you're going to have difficult finding smoking stuff in something that's not rated R. It just isn't around anymore, generally. I always think commercialism is a funny one. Look out, they're selling things on television that you might want. Like they don't have a problem with commercial. They have a rating for commercialism, but then they don't tell you that. Oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna watch it with commercials interrupted, and those don't count. Like I remember being a kid, breakfast cereal with cartoons in the morning is just like that was just staple stuff from the 70s and the early 80s. When I was in that mode, you always, always pushing some sugary cereal on your kids that they'd ask for when they're in a grocery store. What is that where they put stuff subliminal? Subliminal. I don't know that there's any truth to some of that stuff. I don't know. That's kind of like when that whole thing there, you play the song backwards, you hear satanic music or it says satanic chants or something like that. I don't know. It's in your face. Like, kids, go ask yourself for go ask your parents for Count Chocula or whatever, Honeycomb big, yeah, yeah, yeah. All that shit. Sugary gum. Sugar, 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 sugar. Sugar is just freaking evil. So that is one of the ratings that they have on there is commercialization or something like that. That'd be a problem if, you have some kid that you want to raise Amish or something like that. Halloween, so much sugar, yeah. Well, my daughter's always done trick or treating in our neighborhood and stuff. But I'd say after she turned 12, she didn't eat any of the candy. She would just end up donating it to somebody else. I had this thing where they were collecting candy for the soldiers. What you do is you collect them and then you drop them on the enemy, and when they're on a sugar high and falling asleep, that's when you attack them. You make the enemy's teeth fall out. I was never a candy fan. Most of it's just garbage. Then when you get older, it puts you in a bad mood. He is an archer. Yes. Archer number 2. The Tooth Archer. Sugar puts me in a bad mood. And you know, like not the sugar of an apple. The sugar of like a candy bar or something like that. Makes me really irritable. All right. Need more water? Yeah. Your Mongol army is by Viking Forge. Foot archers are huge compared to mounted. Viking Forge makes foot Mongol archers? Not that many guys that make foot Mongol archers to begin with. Maybe they make them and they're not listed anymore. He used to come to all the cons. Let's see. Mongol. They sure do. Oh, those guys look good too. Got a little tuft on the top of their helmet. They're big, huh? Yeah, that's another army that has no foot though. That's annoying. Yeah, they don't make any Hun foot. Generic feudal. What's there? Very rustic looking folks. Rustic rustics. Don't blink, he disappears. You talking about Viking Forge? And he still got figures by the each. I like that. He's also pretty sure he's the guy that says he sells a bunch of stuff on eBay. He's got tons of things listed. His listing on name on eBay is something like Bryn and Steve or something like that. And I've come close to buying stuff from him, but his shipping is just too expensive for what it is. But I might buy some colonials from him if I decide to go in that direction, 15s, because he's got, I think some of the stuff still comes in like 50 figures to a bag. So I don't want 50 figures of the same thing. He's got an assortment of different stuff out there. Army was designed for WRG. Foot archers were Chinese and or Korean. Okay, so they had more foot troops than those, huh? Yeah, you don't get any foot troops in the Mongol army until you go to Yuan Chinese. And then you've got foot troops that can be in that. Actually, I'm going to check and make sure that somebody isn't awake. I'll be right back. If they are, I might need to get the next show on the road. Golden Horde. Golden Horde has a few foot. I think they got a couple of bow in it, something like that. Okay, we're gonna shut this popsicle stand down. We'll be back on in the morning for sure. But thanks for following along with me, and we've got to go ahead and get things done with it along the day. So we'll see you guys tomorrow morning for sure. Same back time, same back channel. Until then, happy painting, folks.